In this class, we're going to be moving through some twists. Take a bolster or something that's going to be about that height. It's going to be for your head. And you can have a rolled up mat, and we're going to be placing that at the side of our ribs. Or what you'll also see is that I've got this felt mat that I will be rolling up and putting at my ribs. It's a little softer than the mat, perhaps. So just see how it gets rolled. You can improvise. You can use a really firm towel, but you'll want it to have some feedback into the ribs. So just taking it into the side of the ribs where you can handle it. You're going to do a test to see if you can be here. Your shoulders on the ground so that you have the space for your shoulder, and your upper hand will be either resting on the little roll. Maybe you want to block between the knees, or maybe not. So making any last minute adjustments to just be here and notice what it feels like to be laying on something at the side of the ribs. What does breathing feel like when you do this? Notice, where does it feel easy to breathe? And possibly on purpose, you could bring your mind's eye to the ribs that are in the air or in the space and see if you can breathe in that upper side of ribs. And not a big forced breathing, but just something that feels expansive, like a jellyfish of breath, moving through the whole side, or just notice where it does. An alternative place to bring your awareness is to breathing into the ribs that are on the roll. What does breathing feel like there? Staying curious with breath. Seeing how much you can relax. And then shift your weight. Use your hand to support yourself to come off the roll, and you can keep it in a roll as you transition to laying on the other side. So remember, your shoulders on the ground, your head is on the bolster or something of that height and firmness, and you have a roll under the ribs now on the other side. Put a block between the knees if you need. Be here and pause. Noticing where you're breathing, where does it feel easy to breathe? And then, on purpose, breathe in the upper ribs. See if there's some expansion and settling in the upper side of your ribs. More observation than a directive. And then now see what it feels like to direct the breathing to the lowest ribs, to the ribs that are on the support. Observing, can the body find ease? Of course, move off this if the body feels pain. If we feel sensation, that is fine. But we stay kind in the mind and the body. And then use your arms as a support. Put them down on the ground and support yourself to come up. Move the support from under your ribs, put it to the side, and just lay down on your back. Take the bolster out of the way, unless you need a pillow under your head. Come on the back and just assess, what does it feel like now where nothing is on the ribs? What does the body feel like? What are the hips, the shoulders, the ribs? Breathing. Bring the knees up and just take yourself to one side or rock and roll to come up. And now we're going to come into a twist. So I'm sitting on the mat, and then I'll sit on a block as well, just to give me a bit more height. And we'll come into a nice loose cross-legged position. Take your palms together and have your thumbs come into your chest and your fingertips underneath your chin. And we're just going to move, keeping the head in line with it and the shoulders, and just move the shoulders, head, and torso just from side to side, feeling this as a movement, really relaxing the hips, seeing that nothing gets involved. It's just a little bit of a movement. It's not giant, so you have to just deal with how small this movement is. It's moving at the waist. That's propelling you. Then come into the center, pause. And then go back to the left, twisting, and then over to the right. Take your back hand behind you, and this front upper arm, you're going to keep the ribs still, but just move the shoulder blade forward and up. Have a look at the image here. The arm stays horizontal, the chest stays still. It's just the arm that's going forward and back, feeling the shoulder blade have a massage. And then take the hand down by the knee and just mildly turn and twist behind you. And then come back to face the center. And twist to the right and then twist to the left. Take your back arm behind you, and now your front arm, just move the arm forward and back, just massaging, feeling that movement can happen. The elbow stays still as you just isolate this. My ribs want to get involved, but you have to stop it a bit. Take the hand down to the knee of the opposite leg, just a mild twist to the side, looking behind. Not trying to get anywhere, but notice. Come back to the center. Pause. And then twist to the left and twist to the right. Left again, right again. And now stay here. Find the extension of the front arm. And now take the back shoulder blade and move it forward and back. So just the shoulder or the arm at the top of the arm is moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then gradually it'll stay back and it will kind of snug in towards the spine. And then turn to face forward. And then let's turn to the right, the left, the right, the left. Stay here. Find that length of that front arm. And now we're going to find that back shoulder going forward and back. So the hand is on the ground or on the pelvis, and it's the shoulder is just going forward and back. You're trying to feel it fluidly moving. Keeping the ribs still, and then snugging it back in towards the spine or into the ribs. Come back to face the center. Pause. The next time we do twisting, we'll add all those together and feel what that feels like. So take the hands back up. You can change your crossing of your leg. We've been there a while. Turn to the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, the right, and stay here. Extend through that front arm and suction back with your shoulder blade of your back arm, and then just see about moving the ribs as if they're moving underneath the shoulder blades. They're moving even though the shoulder blades are holding still, but the ribs have a bit more movement. The belly has a little bit more movement. And we feel that sense of slight extra twist, and then turn back to face forward. Hands back under the chin, turning to the left, right, left, right, left, right. And then turn to the left and find that front arm. The shoulder blade moves forward. The back shoulder moves into the spine. And you keep the hips relaxed as you move the ribs underneath the stationary shoulder blades. Like they have just a millimeter more movement. Gives kind of a massage to the region around the shoulder blades. Breathing. And then releasing, coming back to the center, and just pause. Okay, let's lean forward and come out of that. Now we're going to set ourselves up for a new position of twist. We're going to be reclined or laying on our side, sunrise, sunset with the arm. So have the bolster back for our head. Maybe have a block for the knee. I have some wedges that I put under the back of my hip to just make sure my hips stay easy. So let's just say we're going to be laying on our right. And you bring the wedges at the back, just if that's needed. And you take a few moments to see about really pausing, really relaxing the hips, the legs, the breathing. The arms are straightened out of readiness, but we're really easing the body. So we're not going to do some pre-tightening before the movement. Now bring your upper arm up and just move your shoulder protraction and just suction it back. Forward and back, and then just bring the upper arm just to a place where it's up towards the ceiling. And you're going to keep the shoulder where it is and just move at the waist, move the ribs. So you're not moving your arm back. My arm can go farther down to the ground, but I'm not. And I have a slight concentration of my inner thighs together. Come back down, pause. Move the arm up again just to that one point up to the ceiling, and then start to feel, as long as you can keep your hips relaxed, move the chest, move the belly. The shoulder's not going to go beyond what the chest is doing. Come back around. Check your relaxation and not pre-loading the muscles. Come back up. Fingertips up towards the ceiling, and then start your twist. Relaxing the hips, relaxing the ribs, opening, but the belly is twisting. We're breathing. So much is happening and so much isn't happening. Equally important. And then come back around and just let yourself pause. Okay, let's roll over onto the other side. So we're now going to lay over onto our left, or whichever side you are working on. You can see a little bit more clearly how I've got the wedges, and it's just a little bit of support under that hip just to keep it from being involved or over tensing, preparing for the movement. So relaxed hips, breathing, and then lift that right arm up, and you're going to find the shoulder moving forward and back, not the ribs, but the shoulder or the arm forward and back. The arm is parallel to the ground, and then just take it up so that you feel that the fingertips are up to the ceiling and the shoulder is complete and whole, so the arm isn't moving beyond what the ribs are doing or beyond what the waist is doing. You're just opening up with ribs, relaxed hips and jaw, breathing. And then come back around. Coming up with the arm. You'll take the fingers back up to the ceiling. Feel the connection of the shoulder and arm. So it's not going back into the spine like we did when we did our seated twist. We're keeping it more in line with the ribs as we open ribs and waist, really isolating. This will eventually become a larger movement, but you work within the range that you're really at that day, that minute, allowing the cells to be present in this moment. And then come back around. And then let's do one more. Lifting that top, possibly it's your right arm, coming up and opening. Relaxed in the hips, full, easy, sweet breaths. I'm just showing, I just brought my arm all the way down just to see where the arm could go back farther, but it isn't. It's just coming from the ribs. And then come up and over and pause on your side. Okay, lay over onto your back and just assess what that feels like. You can move the bolster under your knees or your thighs and just take a few breaths to feel the ground. Feel easy in Shavasana. Noticing my breath as this is my breath in. And this is my breath out. And then slowly increase, lengthen your breathing. Bring the knees up in towards the chest. Pause with a light squeeze of the knees. And then roll over onto a side. And then come up. Namaste.